Subject to means simply this. There's only two ways for you to take over a debt. One, you can assume the underlying mortgage. That is an absolute no-no. We do not assume mortgages, period, because to assume them means we apply to the lender and get approved and accept personal liability. We do not accept personal liability on plan upon, no exceptions. Second way is to take over the debt, which means the loan stays in the seller's name, but the seller deeds us the property and goes away. Meaning, we've bought the property subject to the underlying debt. Not assuming it, subject to it. Again, loan stays in the seller's name. So we own property, but the loan's in the seller's name, and we agreed to make these payments, of course, sometime after we close, or no seller's going to just give us the house. Well, some will, but most want to know that we're going to make the payments. So we don't have personal liability because we did not fill out any application or ask any bank's permission. We just took over the debt. Now, can the bank call the loan due if we buy the property and take over the debt?
Yes.
Yes, they can. Will they?
No.
I don't know. Probably not. They haven't on the last 900 or so that I've done, but on your first one they might, just because it's you and they want to make an example of it. Do banks want houses?
No.
What do they want? Money. Are we going to give them money?
Yes.
Yes. And in fact, to tell you the truth, if they knew you were doing this, they wouldn't care. I'm telling you, they just want the payment. By the way, do banks have enough houses?
Yes.
They got more than enough houses. They just want to collect the payments. But could they? Therefore, it must be disclosed to the seller that they could. And that's in my CYA letter, which stands for Cover Your Assets letter, which is in your manual. All right? So I'm not going to buy a house subject to from a seller unless the attorney gets them to sign a CYA letter. Because I want to clearly disclose and in writing that they knew the loan was staying in their name and the bank could call the loan due. So here's the other side of that coin. Thousands and thousands of properties are transferring every day across America exactly like I just said, because the seller wants to get out of the house more than they care about the loan staying in their name. They will walk away. In fact, I think Brian and Lynette just told you an example of one. I just told you an example of one that I did recently. There's two. Now, of course, the seller was dead, so they didn't much care. But the son and daughter inherited the house, and they lived out of town, and they didn't want it. So they deeded the house to me, and I took over the debt and made up the two payments. Honestly, there's no reason they should have even cared about that, because the house could have went into foreclosure. It wouldn't affect either one of them. Their name wasn't on the loan, and the borrower was dead. But the human in us says, I'd like to fix this problem. So they were thrilled when I said I'd take over the debt on the house and buy the house. Well, you've heard several examples of that, and many of you have already done that. Now, here's the hurdle you got to cross in your mind if you're brand new, and that is, why would anybody just deed the house to me and instead leave the loan in their own name? Right? Right?
Right.
Okay. Isn't that what everybody asks coming in on Planet Ron?
Yes.
Until they get their first deed. Then they quit asking. Here's what you got to force yourself to do, and that is quit asking why. Why? Why will drive you nuts. The real reason is because they want out of the debt. They want debt relief and they want stress relief worse than they care about what happens to their house or their credit. And in fact, if somebody deeds you the house and leaves the loan in their own name, is their credit in your hands? Say yes. Yes. It is. They don't care. They'll do it anyway. Some sellers will do it anyway. So we're not going to get every house we do subject to, but the ones we do get is because the seller willingly said that's okay with me. And that is the easiest way for you to buy a house with a debt on it. But it is not always the way you're going to buy it. So as we get into these discussions, we're going to discuss if they don't do it subject to, then we can buy it on a wrap, giving them some kind of protection in case we don't pay. If somebody deeds me the house and walks away, is there anything they can do if I do not pay? No. Not one thing. There's no way they can get the house back. There's no way they can do anything except sit around and see what happens. But if somebody sells me the house on a wraparound, now if I don't pay, they can force me out and take over the house again. But honestly, people who will deed you the house and walk away, they aren't even thinking like that. So are you going to do a lot of deals taking over the debt subject to? Say yes.
Yes.
All right? So here's a deed, and here is a mortgage and note. When a seller signs the deed and hands it to you or your attorney, title has transferred. Nobody on the planet can stop that transfer except the seller or the buyer. The lender cannot prevent that deed from transferring. Their only recourse is to call and do it if they so choose. So nobody needs the lender's permission. And there's a note of mortgage attached to that deed, but there's nothing the lender can do except call and do it if they choose to. Now, as long as I'm making payments on this note of mortgage after I get this deed, there's really no reason for the lender to call it due. But again, you must disclose to the seller in writing that the lender can call it due, so you don't have any bounce back later. Are we clear?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
So who can stop us from taking the deed? Okay, by the way, getting the deed is a slang term. We don't get the deed. In real estate, a new deed is created every time title is transferred. It really doesn't matter where the old deed is. It's a matter of public record anyway. Unlike a car title. When you're transferring a car, you've got to have the old title. Not true in real estate. A new deed is created. A deed is a white piece of paper with black ink on it. That's all it is. It's the same piece of paper to transfer a $100,000 house or a $50 million building. Once that is signed by the seller and handed to the buyer, title has transferred. Recording has actually nothing to do with it. It's just a way to make it public record. But the deed transfers when it's delivered and received. And nobody can stop that from happening except buyer or seller. Got it?
Yes.
Okay.